finding a way to get it on paper, not even in a digital format, but on real paper, the old-fashioned way. There is something amazing that happens that makes this vision, your idea, more concrete. And I also know that when something is on paper, when it is visible, it puts shape to something that was merely just a concept in our mind. Are you a corporate, professional, or entrepreneurial mom committed to making a difference in your work and maintaining your priorities? Do you have the guilt loop running on repeat, whether leading a team or leading your family? Welcome to Leadership for Busy Working Moms. I'm your host, Susan, also a high performance and leadership coach. From working in New York City in the high-end fashion world to being a teacher, I created the Aligned Leadership Method, a strategy to align my life to Christ. Out of that overflow, there was an alignment of my leadership that seeped into every facet of my life. You can align any season of your life so that you can be fruitful at work and home. Are you ready to dive in? Get your earbuds on and open your journal and Bible. It's time to align your leadership. Quick word before we dive in today. Isaiah 58 verse 12 says, "You shall be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of streets to dwell in." And I think about that verse a lot because I believe that's exactly who you are. You weren't placed on this earth at this exact time by accident. You have gifts, an assignment, and a business that's meant to be part of rebuilding what's broken, starting in your own home. But if you're leading from anxiety instead of alignment, that assignment gets a lot harder to carry. I created a free resource called Aligned to Multiply to help you close that gap. It's a short guide plus a companion audio training where I unpack what it actually looks like to lead your business, your family, and your faith from real assignment instead of pressure and hustle. You'll also get a quick self-assessment so you can see exactly where the gap is for you right now. Grab it free at susanro.com/resources. Again, that's susanro.com/resources. All right, so let's get into today's episode. Hey, sister, I want to share a thought here. You can hit 7 figures and still be building a life you don't actually want. Now, I want you to sit with that for a second because I know some of you are chasing a number right now, like it's going to hand you peace on the other side of it. But you know what? It won't. Not on its own. So welcome back to Leadership for Busy Working Moms. I'm Susan, and today we're talking about the leadership skill nobody puts on a vision board. Clarity, real written specific clarity, because a fuzzy vision doesn't just slow you down, it's quietly running your business right now, and you don't even know it. Here's what most business owners tell themselves when growth stalls. They say, "I need a better strategy." But have you ever bought Lego sets for your child and you've seen them work through the whole instruction manual on how to create and assemble whatever it is that the set was created to assemble? So there's a picture on the box that would be like the vision, that's the overall end goal. But then you've got the instruction manual that takes you throughout the pages, the step-by-step procedure to get to that end vision or the result. So every page doesn't have 10 steps. It only has a couple of steps. And they're always in bite-sized pieces with clear instructions on where and how the pieces are placed in relation to one another. And if ever there was a mistake, there's always an easy way to backtrack and identify exactly where things went wrong, then to make the corrections. I mean, the instruction manual lays it all out, and it captures the vision for that Lego set as its end goal. All the pages that lead up to that end result are clear, step-by-step instructions that give clarity for every step in that journey towards that vision. Now, in the same way, when we have a vision and clarity on what we are building, having it clearly defined, whether it's in our business or a side project that we're working on, or even with what we want for ourselves personally, for maybe our health and wellness or fitness journey, it is easy to take the steps toward that goal and to also backtrack if we somehow stray from what we've clearly defined in our building plans, if there's clarity in the steps that would lead us to our ultimate vision or our goal. So when there's no clarity, everything in our life really starts to feel loud. Every opportunity looks tempting. Every problem feels urgent. Every hire can feel confusing. And every decision feels exhausting. You're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're deciding too much, and you're deciding from fog instead of from vision. And then your mental bandwidth is really stretched out. There's a tight balance between stretching it out to do it all or really being frozen from all that you need to do. Can you imagine if we had an instruction manual for a Lego set that showed what the end vision or that result of that set would be, but the pages of that manual were blank? We would literally be looking at every possible piece in that set, every Lego piece, and we're going to try to find a way to find possible angles to make it fit to look like the end result. But you know what? Invariably, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be messy. It's going to be confusing and exhausting. And let me think, is it possible to get the end result? Yeah, it's possible. There might be some pieces missing in the process, especially the internal workings of a set. Those pieces are not so easily visible from picture on the outside. So yes, I guess it is possible to build the whole set without an instruction manual, but it would take so much effort and everything would feel hard about it, especially when there's no clarity in the steps to take. Now, I'll tell you what the solution is. Vision doesn't just inspire you. It eliminates decision, because when the vision has clarity, all the distractions get naturally eliminated. How does vision and clarity eliminate decisions? I'm going to give you an example here. Now, if you have a vague, blurry vision that says that I just want to get healthy, that would be a pretty blurry vision because it's so broad. It can look very different in different circumstances. I mean, we all need to get healthier, but how? For example, maybe it's trying to get healthy with weight loss. Maybe someone's trying to get healthy because they're experiencing massive inflammation in their body. Maybe they're trying to get healthy because there was a certain diagnosis that was learned, whether it's diabetes or high pressure, and that's causing the need to get healthy. So in this situation, getting healthy will look different because it's going to require different things that they're going to need to target to get healthy for them in their circumstances. So if I want to put that with our analogy of the Lego manual, it would be like having a vision, like the picture of the box and the picture of the end result with all the pages being blank, right? Which set of instructions do we focus on? Is it the instruction for fitness? Is it the instruction for healthy eating? Is it the instruction for reducing inflammation causing foods? So those are the clarities of the pages that would be blurry for someone that does not have everything clearly laid out. But if we have clarity with the vision, and I'm going to use this vision as my example, I want to exercise and get fit in a way that does not increase my stress cortisol as I go through menopause. Now, this vision clearly offers a pathway for the type of instructions that would be in the manual for my vision. So the vision here is to get fit. That's the end result. That's the goal. That's the picture on the cover of my instruction manual. That's what I want. But the clarity is to do it in a way that does not cause my stress hormones to elevate while I'm going through menopause. That clarity that I just stated would be like the step-by-step instructions inside the manual, because now I know what the focus should be on. It should be focusing on low impact exercises and mobility moves that will support my long-term health, and also the moves that I basically need to be able to do easily in my daily life, like keeping up with my kids, carrying groceries, and basically not having pain in my movements. When you get crystal clear on what you want, and you get crystal clear on the vision that God has for you and for your life, that clarity of vision gives you clarity in the steps that you need to take. A fuzzy vision is like having a Lego manual with the end picture, as I mentioned before, with no clear steps to get there. But a crystal clear vision easily eliminates choices, and it shows the clear path to achieve that goal. This is why Habakkuk 2:2 has become one of my favorites for all founders like you. It says, write the vision and make it plain on tablets that he may run who reads it. I find it so fascinating that God didn't say to dream it or to think about it. He didn't say to discuss it with your focus group or your next mastermind. What he said was to write it. Vision becomes actionable the moment it becomes visible, not when it's a nice feeling inside your chest during your quiet time, but when it's on paper. There's something amazing that happens when we take something that's just a concept, just a thought, something that's been swirling in our mind, and we put that into the concrete with what we see using words or pictures, finding a way to get it on paper, not even in a digital format, but on real paper, the old-fashioned way. There is something amazing that happens that makes this vision, your idea, more concrete. I'm sure there is a scientific backing for why this is so, but I don't have that right now. I haven't researched the scientific backing portion of it, but I know that there must be something out there. And I also know that when something is on paper, when it is visible, it puts shape to something that was merely just a concept in our mind. Now, at this point, I really want to clarify something. A lot of you may be saying that you want a 7-figure business, and you might call that a vision. It's actually not a vision. It's just a number. Kind of like my example of a blurry vision goal to get healthy. A real vision answers these types of questions. How many hours are you actually working? How many people are on your team? What responsibilities do you still personally own that you shouldn't? How much margin exists in your calendar? What impact are you creating, and how does your family experience you at the end of a Tuesday or Wednesday night? Do you see the picture? It's not just talking about a number, but it's talking about what you want in life, what you see as important for you, for your family, your ultimate goal for why you do it. It puts into picture all the motivations that drive you to want that 7-figure business, or whatever the number it is that you want for your business to grow to. 2 businesses can hit the exact same revenue and produce 2 completely different lives. One produces freedom, one produces bondage with better shoes. The number tells you nothing about which one you're building, because unless you're intentional with your why and understanding the motivations and the quality of life you want, it is easy to have the business fill in the gaps of your life and ultimately to be in bondage to the structure of your business. Now, something I want you to notice throughout Scripture is that God is remarkably specific when he hands someone an assignment. When Noah built the ark, God gave the dimensions. When Moses built the tabernacle, God gave the dimensions. When Solomon built the temple, God gave dimensions. This is like the Lego manual with the ultimate vision in place and the pages of the steps toward that vision clearly laid out. God gave dimensions. He gave specific instructions. God gave specific information to reach the vision that God had for each assignment. And God's vision came with details, not because He's controlling, but because details create direction. And here's the convicting part. A lot of us are asking God for provision while avoiding the clarity that stewardship actually requires. We want the increase. We resist sitting down and writing the plan. So for illustration purposes, let's just say you want a 7-figure business. Someone asks you what that actually means, and you may say, I don't know. I just don't know. I want to just grow. So you might find yourself chasing it sideways. More clients, more marketing, more content, more offers, and you're following every lead. You're hustling and you're working hard toward a future you haven't actually defined, which means you can't tell if any of it is working. But then one day you decide to sit down and you write it out. And what are you writing? Maybe you're writing about your company, the revenue target, how you want your team to be structured, the services that you are offering, the clients that will be served, the operating model that you will be operating your business under, and maybe you'll continue to write about your calendar. How is that going to look? The hours that you want to be working. What family time would look like for your family. What about the Sabbath rhythm that you want? Maybe even what the CEO work is and what the operator work is that you're still holding on to. And then maybe you might continue to write about how you want your leadership to look, the decisions that you will own, the decisions that your team will own, and possibly the responsibilities that you are actually releasing instead of talking about releasing. Now, suddenly, you actually have something to build toward instead of something to run from. That's the shift. Growth finally has a direction instead of just a pace. This is basically the clarity for all the steps and the pages in that Lego manual to get to that vision. Luke 14:22 says, "For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost?" Jesus wasn't only talking about finances here. He was talking intentionally. Vision requires counting the cost before you lay the first brick. Not after you're 3 years in and exhausted and wondering how you got here. Most people want the outcome, but very few are willing to sit still and long enough to define the actual path. And here's where I want to ask you 5 questions. Don't rush past these. These are really good to just sit down and meditate and ponder upon for your direction, for your vision. Now, for business, what are you actually trying to build over the next 12 months? And we're talking in specific terms here, not mental concepts and vague ideas. Remember, not just a number, but exactly what it's going to look like. Think of the picture of the type of business you are looking towards building. Now, when it comes to leadership, who do you have to become to lead that vision? And if it comes to operations, what responsibilities should no longer belong to you? And if we're talking about capacity, ask yourself, if your business doubled tomorrow, what would break first? And if we're talking about faith, what has God assigned you to steward in this season? Not 5 years from now, not someday, but this season right now. There's a difference between 3 things, and most business owners collapse them into one. Vision is what God is calling you to build. Goals are the milestones that move you toward it, and tactics are the actions that support the goals. Now, most founders skip the vision and they want to jump right straight into the tactics, and they end up very busy, not aligned. And busy without alignment just means you're exhausted in a very organized way. Now, here's your homework, and I mean this week and not someday. Write a 1-page vision document, not 10 pages, 1 page, and include 5 things. What am I building? Describe the company 12 months from now, and what does my week look like? What about the hours? What type of work and margin will you have? What does my team look like? Who owns what? And what are my top 3 goals? The ones that will actually support the vision, not the ones that just sound impressive. And finally, what am I releasing? What are you releasing? And what has to leave my plate for any of this to be true, for us to get to that vision? So sit down this week and write it. Make it plain, like the verse says, plain enough that you can hand it to someone else and they could literally run with it. I do want to preface here that sometimes there is a tendency also to sit and just think too much and write too much. So in this case, there's a delicate balance between action and just planning. So here we're just spend some time. Don't go over a time that you've pre-dedicated in your mind or allocated in your mind that you wanted to dedicate to this task. Just be focused on this one activity for the time that you allocate. And when the time is done, move on. That's my one suggestion, because it's so easy to just end up doing this for a very long time and never really come to a conclusion because it's always evolving. So here's the thing I want to leave you with. A lot of business owners are praying for expansion while managing from confusion, but throughout Scripture, God consistently provides clarity before He provides increase. Habakkuk didn't dream the vision. He said, write the vision and make it plain. Because when the vision becomes clear, the leader becomes focused. When the leader becomes focused, decisions become easier. And when decisions become easier, growth becomes sustainable instead of something you're literally white-knuckling through. You know, the goal is never really just to build a bigger business. The goal is to faithfully steward the assignment that God has entrusted to you in this season, to steward your business, to steward all the gifts and talents that He has given to us. Before I close out today, there's one more thing. You have gifts and an assignment and a business that's meant to be part of rebuilding what's broken, starting in your own home. But if you're leading from anxiety instead of alignment, that assignment gets a whole lot harder to clarify. I created a free resource called Aligned to Multiply to help you close that gap. It's a short guide plus a companion audio training where I unpack what it actually looks like to lead your business, your family, and your faith from real assignment instead of pressure and hustle. Grab it because it's free at susanro.com/resources. Again, that's susanro.com/resources. God bless you, sister. Hey mama, you made it to the end. And listen, if you learned something new and you already see the great value in this podcast, share this episode and bless another mom who's in the weeds of all the busy. Also, would you leave a review for the show on Apple Podcast? This matters so much to empower and encourage another mom around the world. Together, we can encourage one another to align our leadership as we lead ourselves first in Christ. It matters to your families and for future generations to come. You are making a generational impact. God bless you.